All right, let's get started. We're about to go on a journey, but not to some faraway place. Nope, we're going inside something you see every single day. The incredible, hidden world of flowering plants. I mean, think about it. We see plants everywhere, right? But have you ever really stopped to wonder what's going on inside them? Well, today we're going to peel back the layers and see what really makes these amazing organisms tick. Okay, so before we dive into the roots, stems, and leaves, we need a bit of a map, a blueprint. Because here's the cool thing. Every single part of a plant, no matter how different it looks on the outside, is built from the same three fundamental tissue systems.
And it's actually pretty simple when you break it down. Think of it like this. You've got the epidermal system. That's basically the plant's skin. Then there's the ground system, which is kind of like the filler tissue where all the action happens. And finally, the vascular system. That's the plumbing, moving water and food all around. The skin, the filler, and the plumbing. That's it. A pretty brilliant design, right?
So let's start with that outer layer, the epidermal system. This is the plant's first line of defense against the outside world, usually just a single layer of cells. Now, depending on where you are on the plant, it does different things. Down on the roots, you'll find these tiny, single-celled root hairs that are all about absorbing water. But up on the stem, you get these multicellular hairs called trichomes, and their job is to help stop the plant from drying out.
And part of that skin system are these things called stomata. Okay, check this out. These are tiny little pores, mostly on the leaves, and they are absolutely critical for the plant's survival. They control all the gas exchange. Think breathing in and out. Each little pore is surrounded by two guard cells that open and close it. And here's what's cool. Most plants have these classic bean-shaped guard cells, but grasses, which you'll see are a type of plant called a monocot, they evolved this super efficient dumbbell shape. Two different designs for the exact same job.
All right, next up is the ground tissue. This stuff is the real workhorse. It's basically everything that isn't the skin or the plumbing. It makes up the bulk of the plant. In the leaves, you'll know it as the mesophyll. That's the green factory where photosynthesis is happening. But in the roots and stems, it's more like the plant's pantry, a place where it stores all its food. And that brings us to the plumbing, the vascular system. This is the plant's highway, right? It's made of two parts, xylem, which carries water up, and phloem, which carries food around. But here is the single most important difference you need to know, the difference between open and closed bundles. Now, stay with me here. Open bundles, which you find in plants called dicots, have this special layer called cambium. And that cambium, well, it lets the plant grow wider. This is a huge deal. It's literally the reason an oak tree can become massive and ancient, but a bamboo stalk, which is a monocot, can only get so thick. Monocots have closed bundles. No cambium, no getting wider. It's a fundamental split in the plant world. Okay, blueprint understood. Map in hand. Our tour officially begins now, and we're starting from the ground up. Literally, we're diving deep inside the root system, the foundation of the whole plant. So take a look at these two side by side. On the left, we've got a dicot root, and on the right, a monocot root. Even without knowing anything else, you can see it, can't you? That big difference right there in the middle, in the core. It's all about how that plumbing is arranged. Let's get a closer look. So here is that dicot root up close and personal. Working from the outside in, you've got the epiblema with all those root hairs, then a big cortex for storage. But check out this next layer, the endodermis. It's got these incredible waterproof waxy bands called Casparian strips. Seriously, think of them like bouncers at a very exclusive club. They will not let water just sneak past between the cells. Nope, water is forced to go through the cell membrane, which means the plant has total control over what gets into its vascular system. It's genius. And then deep inside, you can see that vascular cylinder with just a few, 2 to 4, xylem arms and a really small pith right in the center. Okay, now let's flip over to the monocot root. The outer layers are kind of similar, but wow, look at that vascular cylinder. It's a completely different story. Instead of just 2 to 4 xylem bundles, you've got a whole bunch of them, usually more than 6. The technical term is polyarch, which just means many-armed. And look at the center, see that? Unlike the dicot, the middle is taken up by this really large, obvious pith. Big difference. All right, let's keep moving. We're climbing up out of the soil now and heading into the stem. This is the main support structure, the highway that holds the whole plant up to the sun. And right away, again, the difference just jumps out at you. The dicot stem on the left, look how organized that is. It's so neat.
Then you look at the monocot stem on the right, and it looks like someone just took the vascular bundles and threw them in there randomly. Honestly, this is one of the easiest ways to tell these two plant groups apart just by looking at a cross-section of the stem. Let's zoom in on the dicot stem. So right under the skin, you've got some supportive tissue. A little deeper, you find the endodermis, which is so packed with starch, it's often called the starch sheath. But really, the star of the show here is that beautiful, perfect ring of vascular bundles. And remember what we said earlier? These are open bundles. They have that all-important cambium, which means this stem is ready to grow wider year after year. Now for the monocot stem. See? The vascular bundles are just scattered all over the place. And these guys are closed. No cambium to be found. But they have another trick for support. Each one of those little bundles is surrounded by a super tough fibrous sheath. It's kind of like having a bunch of little reinforcing bars running through the stem. It's just a totally different way of building a strong structure.
Okay, for our final stop on this tour, we're heading to the solar panels of the plant world, the leaves. This is the factory floor where the real magic happens, turning sunlight, water, and CO2 into food for the entire plant.
And here we go again. On the left, a slice through a dicot leaf. On the right, a monocot leaf. And just like with the roots and stems, the way they're organized on the inside reveals two totally different strategies for doing the same job, catching those rays of sun. The dicot leaf really is a little masterpiece of engineering. So the top layer has these tightly packed column-shaped cells called the palisade parenchyma. Their job is to just soak up as much sunlight as they possibly can. Then underneath that, you have the spongy parenchyma. And it's called spongy for a reason. It's full of air spaces. This design is perfect for letting gases move around easily, right next to the stomata, which are mostly found on the bottom of the leaf. But the monocot leaf, it's much more uniform. The tissue on the inside, the mesophyll, isn't split into those two different layers. The cells are all pretty much the same. And this makes total sense when you think about it. Picture a blade of grass growing straight up. Both sides of the leaf are getting hit with sunlight, right? So it doesn't need a specialized top and bottom. And that's also why you'll usually find stomata on both sides of the leaf to maximize that gas exchange.
And this is one of my favorite parts. Check out this brilliant adaptation you find in lots of grasses. They have these special cells called bulliform cells. Think of them as tiny water-powered hinges. When the plant has plenty of water, these cells are full and they keep the leaf blade nice and flat, open to the sun. But if a drought hits and they start to lose water, they deflate and cause the whole leaf to curl up. This protects the stomata inside the curl and massively reduces water loss. How smart is that? It's a built-in automatic water-saving system. So there you have it. We've gone on a complete tour from the deepest tip of the root all the way up to the surface of the leaf. Now, let's just take a second to pull it all together and recap the biggest differences we found between these two major groups of plants. This little chart really nails it down. For the root, dicots have just a few xylem bundles, while monocots have a whole bunch of them. For the stem, dicots have that neat, organized ring of bundles, monocots are all scattered. And the reason for that difference comes down to the vascular bundle itself. Dicots are open with cambium, so they can grow wider. Monocots are closed, so they can't. And finally, the leaf, dicots have that specialized two-layer system, while monocots have a much more uniform structure. See how it all connects? And this really brings us to the most important point of all. None of this is random. These aren't just quirky little details. As the research shows, every single one of these internal structures, from those Casparian strips acting like bouncers to the bulliform cells that curl the leaves, it's all an evolutionary adaptation. It's a specific, brilliant solution to the problem of how to survive and thrive in a particular environment. So the next time you're outside and you see a massive oak tree or even just a simple blade of grass, maybe you'll think about this, about the incredible hidden world that's humming with activity right inside of it. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? How does all that invisible architecture, the plumbing, the support beams, the little factories, how does all of that determine how that plant actually lives its life out here in the real world?